There's a couple of ways you could be saving up your time and resources before the 1.6 update arrives, and these are the three most important considerations. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by King's Raid: The Final, which is currently celebrating its last chapter of the first story, and it's not something you'd want to miss out on, because the main protagonist Kazel, who is now the Dark Lord, has recruited his best friend Frey to join his forces, and the only person who can save them from the corruption is Claus in this epic battle for friendship. And now you have a rare opportunity to raise all of these three characters to max level to unlock their true potential, and you'll also get a chance to pick up a free 5-star unique weapon and gear by completing a short series of quests. And what's crazy about it is that all of these rewards that are being given away are estimated of about $500 worth of value to mark the conclusion of this final story chapter. There's also a new character, Isaiah, that you can unlock by completing a story dungeon, but make sure to be quick about it because she's only available until June 8th. So with the massive amount of rewards that are being given away, now's the best chance to join King's Raid, whether you're a new or returning player, and you'll also help out this channel a lot, so make sure to check out the link below the video and download King's Raid: The Final today. It's always interesting to see what little tidbits of information MiHoYo leaves behind during their live streams, and this time around, it seems like the opportunity to score some Primo Gems quickly and efficiently with the housing feature is going to be one of the ways you can prepare for. This, of course, refers to the newest edition of 1.6 update, where any of your characters will be able to visit your humble abode, which is already an exciting thing by itself, but more importantly, there's going to be specific accommodation requirements each of them will have, which when fulfilled, will reward you with some Primo Gems and even Ascension materials. So it's definitely worth to think about it, especially if you're feeling aimless most of the time and have no idea what to do with the realm coins you're accumulating. Now, it's not clear how many times you can get gifts from your characters, but most likely it's not going to be to the point of extortion, so it's possible that only one accommodation, or as MiHoYo calls it, gift set, is going to be required per character. But either way, the important thing here would be that from the few previews we saw during the live stream, there's going to be quite a lot of these gift sets that will require many different furnishings. For example, this gift set that features a water fountain as its centric piece also has stuff like 4 blooming hedges, which you can only acquire from the Realm Depot furnishings section, and what's even more tricky, you can only get 3 before waiting for the shop refresh, and that's only if we consider these items alone, when we still need the 2 benches and the drinking fountain, as well as the other items you will want to get. But the whole point about this small piece of info we were given is that acquiring some of these furnishings will cost you realm coins, and since we don't know what exact items we will need, the best approach if you're interested in creating as many furnishings as soon as possible once the update arrives would be by first stockpiling on the coins, and then maybe consider getting vials of the Adeptal Speed so that you can have plenty of them ready once we know exactly what needs to be crafted. Now obviously, this only applies to you if you manage to achieve the final trust rank with Tubby and also have maxed out the Adeptal Energy level, which are both useful for the long-term gain of coins. But if you're in the situation of still leveling up the trust rank and Adeptal Energy, then perhaps spamming those lion statues, folding screens, and couches won't be beneficial after 1.6 update lands, since even if they provide a nice amount of push for you to gain more coins, they lose their value once you reach that point, and if you haven't already, it's probably better for now to just spread out with everything you craft so that you can prepare for a lot of unknown gift sets you'll want to craft with those rewards, and MiHoYo is definitely not going to have enough of them ready for the 20 lion statues chilling out in your backyard. Also, keep in mind that the reason why a lot of players chose to pursue the strategy of these few spammable furnishings was because of the load limit, which is actually getting addressed with the update as well, and the developers have promised to make it much bigger than before. So in other words, work towards clearing out the whole blueprint section of the shop, craft one of each, and then consider getting some of the items from the furnishing section, even if we still don't know exactly what will be needed. Or if you have maxed out on everything and starting to spend the coins on artifact potions or other stuff from the realm treasures section, it's probably better to hold on to the coins instead and stockpile on them before the update lands, so that you can have more freedom buying out all the furnishings you need for the gift sets. Now that the small economic strategy is over, it's time we take a look at something even more promising. If you've been playing the game for a while now, even without getting too deep into it, you'll start noticing how certain team comps or elements get rewarded more than the others when we talk about the damage output, and that mainly has to do with how Elemental Mastery scales into the late game. In fact, when you're just starting out, having even a tiny bit of Elemental Mastery is going to be a godsend just because of how much more dangerous those damage numbers are to your enemies, but as time goes on, only Melt and Vaporize reactions will benefit the most from it, while the other kind, the Transformative reactions, will produce underwhelming results. But if you've been keeping up with all the updates, MiHoYo did announce back in late April that there's going to be a few changes coming for Elemental Mastery in 1.6 update, with the most important one being a bigger damage scaling for the transformative reactions, which means Melt and Vaporize won't get affected by this, and only reactions like Electrocharge, Superconduct, Overload, Swirl, and Shatter, as well as Crystallize, will be the ones getting the buff. Now, the thing about this whole announcement is the moment some of us heard about it, Elemental Mastery basically became a stat of interest, which meant locking up any of the artifacts that had it in their main stat. And while with Sands you can expect to find quite few of these main stats, the odds are completely different for Goblets and Circlets, so even if your character artifacts are starving for experience fodder, saving up at least on these ones could be a good idea. Just keep in mind that all of this is mostly speculation, since we don't know how big of a buff these reactions will be getting, but even if it means not getting a dramatic increase in damage, there's a potential those artifact pieces could be used as a budget or alternative build for characters which can benefit from the Elemental Mastery, and that would include most of the Catalysts as well as Sucrose, Albedo, and even Kazuha. Since we did saw from the livestream he can produce quite a few swirls, so it's possible this isn't even a coincidence we're getting the buff right when this Samurai is about to come out. Still, no matter what the outcome is, just keep on holding on any of the artifacts that you come across with Elemental Mastery in their main stat, and wait until the community does all the testing for the new changes in 1.6. After all, there's a chance you won't be hearing the usual critical rate and damage recommendations, and the idea to go for an Elemental Mastery might become a viable choice, even if it means remaining as a lesser one compared to the traditional builds we're used to. Either way, just keep on holding onto these artifacts for a bit longer, and let's find out together what happens. One of the benefits when you watch the Chinese livestream is that they always end up somehow revealing more than their English counterpart, and this time around, it has to do with the biggest chunk of the update, which is going to be the new zone. And this is implied in the most literal sense, because during the showcasing of one of the events, the map was revealed and we saw that there's going to be at least 6 islands we can visit, and it wouldn't be MiHoYo's philosophy if they didn't add some sort of secrets or side quests to fully capitalize on a new zone. Now, it's not clear if it's going to be bigger than Dragonspine, because even if it appears small, the mountain zone makes up for the lack of size and huge verticality, but maybe we can expect to find lots of climbing in this upcoming voyage into the archipelago. But you're probably asking yourself, what's the point how big the zone is and why should I care? Well, the answer is simple. The bigger the place, the more Primo Gems we can expect to find, and if you're one of those players who are compulsive spenders or would like to plan more ahead with the arrival of Kazuha or unannounced characters, fully exploring these islands could potentially yield to hundreds of Primo Gems. So if you're unsure if you want to resubscribe to the Welkin Moon or top up for Genesis Crystals, at least waiting until this new zone comes out could be a good idea to bench those thoughts away, since it's not like every update we get a new zone with a known amount of Primo Gems waiting to be uncovered, and this is still an open world game even if we got too used to living inside the domains in Spiral Abyss. But to quickly summarize, the name of the game before the update arrives is holding on to what you have already. This means any of the realm coins that are starting to rack up in your pocket, and if you're one of those who managed to max out Tubby's trust rank and Adeptal energy level, stockpiling onto these coins while also nabbing vials of Adeptal speed is the easiest decision you could make until the update arrives. But if you're still climbing those levels and ranks, try not to create too many of those easy to produce furnishings like lion statues and couches, and instead spread out to more different furnishings so that you can have more chances with different gift sets. Now, when it comes to artifacts, any of them that contains Elemental Mastery as their main stat should be locked up and put away at least until we see how much of an impact these new changes will be to the transformative reactions. Finally, since MiHoYo were kind enough to show us just how big of a zone is going to be through their live stream, if you have the tendency to get more Genesis Crystals or want to have a clearer idea of how many more Primo Gems you can get, you can at least expect to see a good number of them just from the amount of islands you'll get to explore. So in essence, this next week before the update is like living the life of an investor. Save up, don't sacrifice, and don't wish if you don't intend on getting anything from the existing EULA and weapons banner. The newest 1.6 update is going to be absolutely massive compared to the previous ones we've had, and it's not just the Archipelago zone that's coming out, but also the new skins for Jean and Barbara, as well as tons of events and changes to Elemental Mastery. In all honesty, it's starting to feel like the next update is going to be a bigger one, with MiHoYo recruiting more developers and artists, so it's quite possible Inazuma could be the next big thing we'll see in the 1.7 update. But if you enjoyed watching this video, you can easily help out the channel by subscribing and enabling the bell notification on, so you can be the first one to see the newest content. But more importantly, don't forget to gently press the like button to help out with YouTube's algorithm. Thanks for watching the video and see you next time.